Module 3, Building the Kitchen, Cabinets and Panels. Okay, I've just drawn us a little wall arrangement here, and now we're going to start putting some cabinets in. Now, remembering our catalogue menu from Module 1, the catalogue we want to use is the WJC Joinery 2007 July, or the most recent catalogue. It's always a good idea to start in the corner of a room and work outwards. So I'm going to start with a corner bifold cabinet. Being that that's a floor cabinet, I find it under this section and click. Here are the various types of the corner bifolds. I'm just going to go with the stock standard 880. Remember, you can check here for your left and right options. I'm going to go with the left. Now, to put it onto my drawing, I click on the little 3D view. Keep in mind, if you can't see the 3D view, you just want to turn the page once or twice. Click and drag over into position. Now, before letting go, if you drop it on the middle of your screen, it'll plant itself right there. Okay, I'm just going to delete that just for the next demonstration. But if I want to snap it exactly into the corner, I click and drag. What I want to make sure is, because I want it in this corner, I can twist it into place or spin it. While I've got my left click held down, you can click the right button on the mouse and it's going to spin. Now, I could get it roughly into place here and plant it, but on zooming in, it's not quite on the wall, as you'll see. The best trick for that, I'm just going to delete it again for you. Click and drag. I'm going to deliberately overlap the cabinet with the two walls that I'm interested in it sitting right up against. It doesn't even matter that I haven't spun it into the right direction. If I just let go of the mouse, it automatically places it exactly into the corner. Perfect. So before, when I was dropping this cabinet into place and it wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be, I just kept highlighting it and pressing delete just to start again. But let's say, for example, you don't want to delete the cabinet. You can click on the cabinet itself to highlight it, click and drag and move it around the place again. So you don't have to go back to the catalogue each time and click and drag. You can move your cabinets around once they're on the screen. But to get it smack bang in place, put it in the corner, overlap the walls, and there it goes. So once you've got that starting point, it becomes a lot easier to enter in the rest of the cabinets. So let's say now I want to enter in a floor cabinet with one door that's 600 wide. I go back to my subcategory because I'm already in the joinery catalogue. Here are my floor cabinets with one door, and I want a 600 wide door with the hinge on the left hand side. I click, and all I have to do is make sure that it's overlapping the cabinet that I want to sit it exactly next to. So I can plonk it there and let go, and it snaps it into place. Alternatively, I can just hover it over the wall and the cabinet, puts it in place. Again, even if I've got it in the wrong direction, if I put it like that, it'll snap into place again. Same works for if I want it over on this side. I let go and it puts it into place for me. So just to show you that spin and rotate once again, in case you've missed it, click on any object to highlight it, Left click again just to click and drag to move it about. And while you're holding your finger down on the left button, use another finger to click the right button to get it to spin. 45 degrees at a time. Plonk it into place there if you like. Or plonk it back into place. Always remember, it's a very good idea to start in the corner and have all your cabinets snap up to that. It means you don't lose any space. Even a few millimeters here or there can make a difference. So theoretically, you can now build the majority of your kitchen with the cabinets. Keep going back to the subcategories here. Plonk things into place. And you'll get a lot of practice at this in your training exercises. Actually, that one's a wee bit too big. Just press delete then. And put that into place. Alright, moving on to fillers. As you should know, fillers are required between walls and the start of any cabinet run. So in some cases, fillers may be the first thing you place into your drawing rather than corner cabinets. So I'm just going to delete what I've done here, just to demonstrate how to place some floor fillers. There are several types of fillers, so we've categorized them with the cabinets that they go with. So for example, there are floor fillers, there are wall fillers, and tall fillers, and so on. But for purposes of this demonstration, let's go with a floor filler. Now there's two types. It's going to ask you either a filler that stays on the kickboard like the cabinets, or a filler that goes to the floor. In this case, I'm looking at a kickboard filler. In this option here, it gives you the various sizes. If it's just going next to a normal cabinet, the height is 720, like a standard cabinet. So that's what the height are these numbers here. But the first lot of numbers are to do with the width of the filler. So I'm going to start off with a 30mm wide filler. And click and drag it into place. Now, like the cabinet, I just overlap it with the two walls that I want it to slot into against. And I'll just zoom in here for you. You can see that it's dropped perfectly into the corner. And then, as usual, I'd go back to my floor cabinets, click, drag, overlap the two items, and it slots in perfectly. Just zoom out again. So we could build a run of cabinets along here. Eventually we'd also come to the panels, so I'm just going to put a few more cabinets in. There we are. I now need to put a panel at the end of this run here. Panels you'll often find are sitting somewhere very close to the fillers section. So this panel, I would actually want it to go all the way to the floor so that it ends the kickboard run. So that's where these are here. There are three types of panels: to the floor, to the kick, and bar back panels. But we've also got a second section for ones that are for Alaskan and Iceland range because they're thicker. So in this instance, I need a floor panel that's 19mm thick, that's 580mm deep, and 870mm high. Click and drag, and there it is. The main thing to remember at all times with Kitchen Draw is practice just makes perfect. If you're a little overwhelmed at the moment here, that's absolutely fine. It's just a matter of having a go at the exercises, getting as familiar as possible with just the layout of the program, where to look for the various items that you want to place in the kitchen, and just having lots of practice at it. Next, we're going to move on to bar back panels. So these are good for island benches or breakfast bars, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here and pan down. Remember, the way I'm panning across the room is to click down the wheel on the mouse, hold it down to drag it about so I can focus on an area of the kitchen that I want. Okay, so I'm just going to build a little island bench here made out of a couple of cabinets. So let's say it's 1 meter wide. Here the spinning comes in useful. Sit that there on the drawing. Let's just make a small panel, small island here. I just need a couple of floor panels either side. Hover it over the edge of the cabinet. It should slot into place. But I need one more panel here along the back of the cabinet. So there's no floor panel that comes that wide. That's why we need to go to the bar back section. So once you've clicked on bar back, down here is now where you need to look. Again, standard is the 870 high, and then we've got 4 lengths to choose from: 1 meter, 1500, 2000, 2400. Now remember to always take into account the width of the panels that you've placed either side of an island bench. So for example, in this case, we've got a cabinet that's 1000 wide with 2 19mm panels either side. So in total, we need this bar back to be 1038mm long. This first bar back is only 1000mm long, so we need to go to the next length up, which is 1500. I can specify the depth, but for this demonstration I'm going to show you another little trick. So you click and drag. In this case, with bar back panels, they're quite unique. You don't want to place them exactly into spot yet, because if I do that, it's going to snap to the side of the cabinet, because these panels, they want to stick to the sides of cabinets, but in this case we don't want that. We want it to the back of the cabinet. So just place it in the approximate region of where you need it to be. But see how this panel, it's too long. So do you remember the attributes box that we brought up in module 1? Make sure the item's highlighted by clicking on it, then right click and go to attributes. Here we've got the width, depth and height of that panel. The depth is what we're after. We want it to be 1038mm and click OK. Now see how that's just shrunk itself down? That's what we want. Alternatively, if you already knew from day one that you wanted that bar back panel to be 1038, you could just enter that information over here and click and drag, and it would already be the size you need it to be. Anyway, now we've got 2, so I'll just get rid of one of them by pressing delete on my keyboard. We're now going to move this bar back panel into place. Click on it once to highlight it. Now see these little black squares? You've probably noticed those on pretty much all items on the drawing. These are called anchor points. So if I were to click on this one here, see how that brings up some anchor points as well? Kitchen Drawer has a trick. It likes to snap an anchor point to another anchor point. So in order to move it into place, I could just click and drag and line it up, and it looks pretty okay. I click it, okay, zoom in a bit, but see how it hasn't snapped into place properly? I want to be a bit more exact than that, so I'm just going to move it away for a tick. There is a button called Move, which is up here on the menu. Alternatively, you can highlight the item and right click to say Move. Now see how you've got these arrows appear next to your cursor or arrow? That's to show that we're about to move it. This is the anchor point that I'm interested in, because I want this anchor point to match that point there. So I'm going to click on it, hover it near the region, and it's just snapped into place. See how it's kind of magnetized to that spot? I just let go, Sometimes you can enter in a specific distance if you know exactly how far you want it to move, but in this case we're snapping a magnetized point to another, so we just click OK. And there it goes. It's in place. So those are bar back panels. Key points to remember: always remember to round up to the next longest bar back that you need. So even though we only needed 38 mil on top of the 1000 wide, we still have to go up to the 1500 panel and cut it down. And the other thing to remember is it doesn't like being snapped into place. You're going to have to move it yourself. And if you can master that move function, there's not a whole lot in Kitchen Drawer that you won't be able to do after that. Okay, we're going to stop here now. We've reached the end of Module 3. Time to go and practice some of those skills, because that was a lot in those ones. So have a look at your training exercise booklet. Start at Exercise 1, Module 3, then Exercise 2, Module 3, Exercise 3, Module 3, and so on. And we'll see you back soon for Module 4.